Hello, welcome to Not Dead Yet's film and TV chat. I'm Dan.
I'm Lee. Hi.
And we're just going to have a quick chat about what we've been watching this week. And Lee, you can start us. What have you been watching?
I watched a train. I watched a film.
A train?
I watched a train.
Wow, have you been licking aluminium pans again?
It's my new hobby.
Yeah. Pan liquor.
A film called The Midnight Meat Train.
Okay. That sounds absolutely... Unless it is a wonderful documentary about supplying butchery to various supermarkets.
Funnily enough, actually.
Oh, God.
Stars Bradley Cooper.
Oh, right.
Right, okay. Let's see.
An early role, I'm assuming.
No, a few years ago.
Oh, really?
It seems he doesn't. He seems reason like
he seems old.
Within the last 5 years. I'd say.
All right.
Probably last few years. So he is a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really ever find out, but he's a photographer, like a newspaper.
Yeah.
So he's just snapping people, but he wants to be like a photographer, like exhibition.
An art photographer.
Yeah. So he's trying to find a breakthrough, and so he likes kind of like real life, sort of like people in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And so he follows this group of youths. He just no reason to. They look like they're kicking bottles. Let's snap some pictures and stuff like that. Kind of hiding in the shadows, taking pictures, and they accost this girl, and he kind of like take pictures, and he said, "Look, guys, what are you doing?" Like in the subway, follows into a subway. And they accost this girl, being like aggressive to her, and he kind of like stands up for her at the top of these stairs, and this guy, like youth, kind of comes up, going, "What you could do about it?" And then he points to a camera, going, "Oh, you're on your camera, by the way." So anyway, so this girl gets on the train, and next day, and it seems like he pleased. He's saved someone from being hurt. Anyway, as it transpires, and as she goes on the train, the door's being held open by this hand. And as next day you see you see it happen, but next day you see in the newspaper that she's gone missing, and it ends up being
Don't give it away for people that want to watch it.
No, this is part of the film.
Okay,
this happens throughout the film.
All right.
I won't give away the ending, but like basically this guy's on the train and he's beating people over the head with a hammer.
Of course.
And this train doesn't end up stopping at any stations. It ends up just going through, and you find out at the end, which I won't give away.
Yeah.
But so this guy is murdering people on this train and has been for a period of years, and it's really brutal. It's quite gory.
Yeah.
And he's just bashing the head, and some people fight back, and he'll kill people every night. And he's a butcher.
Okay.
he actually works as a meat factory, sort of like. And it's basically Bradley Cooper kind of obsessing over him, and then he's in his background. He's got his relationship that's kind of like she's going, "Look, you've got to stop obsessing with this guy. Concentrate on your art. You've got an opportunity now.
Yeah.
Just gets given this opportunity," and he really just obsesses with it. And this guy's Vinnie Jones.
I have heard of this. Yeah, I remember.
It's actually alright. It's gory sort of thing, but like he's it's not a great film. It's alright. It's gory. I quite enjoyed it. And
it sounds hideous.
It ends up being a really fanciful sort of like silly ending.
Yeah,
like
really.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't mind giving away stuff like this.
Really well grounded.
Yeah, exactly. So it ends up being that, and it's just more like him kind of following him and documenting it, and Vinnie Jones being not talking throughout it. I won't give away the ending, because if you're going to watch it, if you like that sort of thing, if you like the sort of films that I've been talking about, maybe watch it. It's not going to blow you away, but it's all right. There's another thing I've watched called Parallels. Which is on Netflix. Now, it's a Netflix film. So the premise is...
What, made by Netflix for Netflix?
I think it's for Netflix,
okay,
yeah.
Right.
Like, so direct to Netflix sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it has a feeling of a pilot.
Okay. In terms of budget?
As in the story and the ending.
Okay.
And I will. All right, there isn't even an ending.
All right.
So that's why.
So it feels like an introduction to a world.
Yeah. So basically, it's this brother and sister. They get a message from they're in their say 20s, late 20s. Yeah. And they get a call from their dad, a voicemail from their dad, which is a bit weird. And one of the brothers, the brother is just like this kind of guy that fights for a living, like street fighting. And the girl, we don't really find much about but she's going to go to Princeton or something like that. And when they go and meet at the house, and my dad's not there, and she's like, "Oh, I got this message as well." And then there's a guy across the street that I think they all grew up on the same street that fancies the girl, and has since he was like a kid. But I get the impression. And they end up going to this house, and the dad said, "Oh, can you meet me at this building at this time?" So they all go to this building, meeting at this time. This is empty, derelict building with all this strange graffiti. And then there's in this building, these abandoned building, these lights go off, and they're all kind of like, "Well, this is a bit weird." Anyway, so open the building, open the door again, and they're in another world. But the premise is they're not in another world. They're in at the same day, the same time, but another version of the world.
Okay. Like a parallel dimension.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So and it's all it's this cool it's all like urban decay and people shooting each other and geoviolence and stuff like that. And then they've got 36 hours. They've got to be back in the building because the building changes every 36 hours.
Okay.
It kind of leaps.
All right. Okay. So it's like quantum leap for houses.
Yeah, quantum leap for houses. And then the next one they kind of is a really futuristic sort of town.
Okay.
But there's always going to be versions of them there as well.
Okay. Right.
So it kind of leaps. So you find out like in this film you find out.
Is it good? Because it sounds pretty messed up. I mean, I don't mean messed up as in, wow, that's sick.
No.
I mean, as in, it sounds very confused.
Yeah. But this is what I mean. Like, so you find out, like, towards the end, the dad's kind of involved in this building and...
He is the building.
Well, yeah. But, like, so it's kind of like... And it ends with them just going into another version of the world. So it could be... I would watch it if it was a series just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
It's very disposable, like...
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. And on a quick note... I watched Big Trouble in Little China again yesterday.
Ah, nice.
And that ended
That is a classic.
And that ended my week.
So I went and watched Avengers Age of Ultron this week at Le Cinema.
How was that?
It should be called Avengers.
Really?
Age of Metron.
Right.
I was...
In what? So is it Star Level? I always think these things are a bit Star Level Substance.
No, do you know what? I mean, I wasn't expecting anything, mind-blowing or anything like that, but I expected it to be an enjoyable... adventure romp, which it kind of is, I guess. I just found it was a bit of a misstep. The first Avenger film I really enjoyed. This one I didn't enjoy it. And
in what way was it?
Well, different? I don't know. It just felt like the pacing was a bit off, maybe. I didn't really care about any of the characters. And excuse me, I think the biggest problem I had with it is that Ultron, who's the CG robotic baddie.
Okay, like Megatron.
Kind of, yeah. He's voiced by James Spader, who I love. I love James Spader. I think he's great.
Is he a baddie, big, massive robot voice?
I don't think he is.
Yeah, that's...
Like, the reason that James Spader is terrifying is because of James Spader.
Yeah.
He has got the stare to end all stares. There's probably... I mean, if him and Jack Nicholson had a stare off, then... it would be the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But if you remove his physical form...
There's a voice I wouldn't have thought...
I mean, I love his voice, it's great, but it needs to be coupled with him.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like that was the right voice, because he's got this kind of weird, almost laid-back menace to him, James Spader.
Yeah.
Which is fine when it's James Spader, but when it's a CG robot, it didn't really work. It just made him seem a bit camp.
Yeah, he's not got, he's got that commanding voice.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just didn't really feel menaced by him or, obviously the things that he was doing. And maybe that's in keeping with the character. I've never read the comics.
Right, okay.
Maybe that is exactly how the character should be. I don't know what, if you have read the comics, how you feel about that. But I just didn't find his performance helped me get into that story, get into the feeling of that story. So, yeah, I just found it a bit, I'm not that fussed about it. A friend of mine went to see it, and he said that his little boy actually stood up and clapped. He was enjoying it so much during the film.
Right.
So, maybe I'm a bit too old, but, having said that, I recently, like I said the other week, watched the Captain America film, recent one, and I really enjoyed it. So, it's strange. This one just didn't work for me. So, I also have watched all of Kill la Kill this week.
Right, you started last week.
I started it last week. There's 24, 25 episodes, and they're all like half an hour long, and I watched all of it this week. It's incredible. Absolutely love it.
So what's the premise of that again?
The premise is that there are clothes that give people super fighting powers, and this girl goes to a new school and everyone wears these things, and then she gets one of these sets of clothes that gives her superpowers, and she fights them, and then it turns really, really crazy after that. It just... I mean, there was a 4-episode battle sequence that I watched the other night that I felt exhausted at the end of it. It's so... In terms of action...
Is it animated?
It's an anime, but just incredible, like visually incredible. And the way that it's directed, the way that it's edited is so intense. It reminded me very much of when The Simpsons go to Tokyo and the kids are watching a cartoon on the TV and they are all basically having seizures because the cartoons are so intense.
Yeah.
And that's what this is like, but just incredible. And the sense of humour that is threaded all the way through this show is just fantastic. It's clearly poking fun at anime.
Oh yes, I do remember you saying that.
But also excelling at being an anime at the same time. So it's having its cake and eating it. It's going to take the piss out of all the tropes, but also be just a really, really good show. The plot is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you can accept that the plot's ridiculous, you're going to have a really, really great time. It's just very, very good fun.
Yeah.
And some really, really funny jokes in it.
Okay.
At times some quite moving moments in it. Not many. It's mainly just loads of really intense battle scenes.
Right.
But just really, really good fun.
I might check that out.
Yeah, you'll have to give it some allowances to begin with because it's an anime and because of the tone of animes is a bit strange if you're not used to watching them.
Right, okay.
But if you can get into it and ignore the fact that what you're watching is ridiculous,
right,
you'll actually really enjoy it because it's just crazy. I mean, some of the battle scenes are just incredible. And I really, really would love to see what this guy could do with real films.
Has he done like much else?
I don't think so. There's another one of his shows. What's it called? I did make a note. It's called Gurren Lagann, which is also on Netflix. Kill la Kill's on Netflix as well if you want to check it out. So I'm going to start watching that this week. And that apparently has got loads of crazy mech robots in it as well. So,
cool.
So that should be quite good. Yeah. So that's what I've watched this week. So that's that. I think so. Shall we move on to Bloodline? So if you're watching along with us and you haven't watched episode 5 yet, you should probably stop now or get spoiled. It's up to you. So you just watched it last night.
I watched it last night.
I watched it, I think, last weekend after we'd spoken about the last episode. So hang on. The father died in this episode.
Father died at the beginning of the episode.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
but he's been ill.
Yeah, he had that stroke a while back, didn't he?
So, right, the last we saw was the father
sending him away.
Danny,
I'm going to pay him.
Yeah, paying you. And Danny said, "You need to give me more money."
Yeah.
The dad seemed to die. Just died.
Yeah, off screen. That didn't really. Yeah. That wasn't. They didn't make a big deal about how he died. He just died.
So this was the funeral.
Yeah.
And so they found out that the dad had spoke to Danny just before he died, and he said, "What did he say?" Danny said, "Oh, he wants me to take on more responsibilities on the
that's a big moment. Yeah.
But that's what he wanted, Is he trying to turn, does he seem like he wants to try? He seems like he wants to.
Yeah, it seems like he wants to be part of his family.
Yeah, and just be a good person and just get on with stuff. And he's working hard, with the tourists and stuff. So the interesting thing, this is like through a lot of the episodes, flashbacks.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of flashbacks where you see Danny as a kid getting beaten.
Yeah.
Like
by who we assume is his father.
You assume it's his father because of an incident relating to the sister that's
dead.
He thinks dead. Yeah. He does think she's dead.
She's definitely dead. Yeah.
So this was a lot about that.
Yeah.
And that situation.
Oh,
a lot of flashbacks.
Actually, a lot of it opened up this week, didn't it? Yeah.
And a lot of
because that guy turned up, didn't he? The friend of the father.
He was a policeman.
Yeah.
Now, so they're basically it's a lot of flashbacks, and it's now. This episode is based on that situation.
Yeah.
He still doesn't explain anything.
No.
But he's teasing you a bit more.
Yeah.
So a while ago, when Danny saved the dad from drowning, he was in hospital and they said he's got bad injury.
Yeah. That's right, he'd broken his collarbone or something.
Yeah, because of a car accident.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that's obviously not. The policeman's alluded that he couldn't do anything, even though he's friends with the dad.
Yeah.
He couldn't do anything, but he knew that he was violent.
He knew what the situation was.
And in this episode, we see John as a 14-year-old
giving
police evidence saying that it was a car that did it.
Yeah.
And
Danny just heard it, hasn't he, on the tapes? That's that detective that turned up, gave him the tapes.
Yeah.
And audio on.
So interestingly, John is the good guy.
Yeah.
Everyone loves John.
Yeah. He's the stable, solid brother, isn't he?
Yeah. The middle.
He's the copper as well.
Yeah, he's the copper. So he talked to his dad's friend, the policeman, retired now policeman, about help me with this case. Just talk about a case he's working on that we think involves Danny, which we'll find out later on. But this policeman said, "I'll go and check out some old records." And now he's obviously done that deliberately because he sent John to check back some old records. And in these records, he put that transcription he did as a 14-year-old, and with the written transcription. And he also spoke to Danny and gave him so family haven't told you about this.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So John has reread his transcription as an adult, what he did as a 14-year-old, and then looks at these boxes,
cassette boxes,
and the cassette boxes are empty, and the policeman's given Danny
at
least one of these tapes. So Danny is listening to
the transcription, the actual recording,
the recording of the interview, as John's rereading his transcription, and it kind of ends there.
Yeah.
So John's going shit.
He knows,
and he sees that these tapes are missing, and he sees the last.
He knows when he got them, a couple of days ago. Yeah. So he must know that someone, probably Danny, has those tapes now.
Exactly. So
that's gonna. I don't know. Do you think that's going to kick off now? Because
don't know.
Every time Danny's been kicked or punched by his family, metaphorically, he's kind of turned the other cheek.
He's like
he's kind of ingested that.
Yeah,
then sat on it. He feels like a spider waiting to get his revenge almost at times.
He looks like he's obviously done something to make him look like him. Now, but he from what I can see so far, he's like. He doesn't want to. He doesn't seem like he wants to be a bad person. Doesn't want to do bad things. And all these people are saying horrible things to him. The whole family is saying horrible things to him, and he's just like taking it in. He just and he's gonna snap. There's only so much.
Well, that's what.
Because remember
when John and the old detective were sitting down in John's house chatting, having a beer, and John said to that detective that life hadn't gone very well for Danny.
Yeah.
And that detective, I think, knows why.
He does know why. Well, he said he can never prove it.
Yeah.
As much as I was your dad's friend, I knew he had a violent streak.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of like quite an interesting episode, and it's obviously showing the development of Danny and what happened. But as a family, obviously the sister's having an affair, and she's
ended that affair now.
You think, and then the older brother is a loose cannon. He's
the youngest.
He's the youngest, is he?
Yeah, he's the youngest brother. Danny's the eldest.
Okay, yeah. So the youngest is like the
youngest one's mental.
Yeah, he's aggressive. He's angry, and
he's got a really bad temper.
So yeah.
But has his wife taken him back then? Because he gets hammered, doesn't he, at the wake, and then goes round to his wife's house
and apologises. I don't think so. I think she's the one that's ended it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's
because they had that big row at the funeral, didn't they? Yeah.
So again, nothing much happened, but they kind of slowly given it. And I felt I got more from.
Yeah, I definitely did. I thought this was quite a good episode. Actually, I mean, I was worried about this detective. Also,
because when he turned up to the thing, everyone was like, the mum ignored him.
Yeah, and everyone else moved away from him. But what was also really, really strange was the way they introduced that flashback of John's testimony, because. You had that guy. You're clearly meant to think it's that old detective sitting down with John as a child. But the only thing he says to him is, "How old are you, John?" And John goes, 14.
Yeah.
And I really did wonder what the hell was going to happen there.
Yeah.
Especially by the way that everybody reacted to this guy at the funeral. I was like, has he been fiddling with those kids or something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of like, so he's asking him how old he is, and that's all we get from that. And then when he turns up at the funeral, everybody seems uncomfortable by his presence. And I just thought, what's gone on here? Because there is obviously some dark secret at the centre of this family.
Well, we find out about the dad's dad. So the granddad was violent.
And beat his
sister. And basically, so
what did he stabbed him with, like a fork or something?
Yeah, some fork in the throat.
Yeah.
So from what you end up finding out, the Sam Shepard's character had a sister growing up,
father,
and an aggressive father. Turns out he's his father's son.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. And
I didn't know whether they were I didn't know why they were giving that to us. Was that justification? Was that in some way trying to justify how he'd been behaving as a father himself?
Maybe.
Because I didn't feel like that. I still felt like, well, yeah, okay, you had a shitty upbringing and your father was violent, but that does not excuse you.
You to do it, exactly. Yeah. So you should know better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And interestingly, John, the mum would only let John do a speech at the wake.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be conflicted with that. He seemed to keep having flashbacks as well. He was having flashbacks about him beating Danny.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I think he was conflicted about what he wanted to say about his father.
And so it's like that, and he ended up saying he just wanted the best for us.
Yeah.
Stop short saying...
Danny said that he was going to speak, didn't he, as well? Yeah. And then Danny refrained at the last second.
Yeah.
Because John said, no, my brother's going to say something. Danny just shook him off.
Yeah. So...
It was a good episode.
Yeah, it was actually. It's probably the best episode so far.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, though. I think it is building up to something good. Again, still really solid performances.
Yeah.
The writing's good. It's just, like I say every week, I really think this is meant for binge watching.
Yeah. It's not like
Yeah. If you're watching it an episode a week, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and I think I think for me, it doesn't make me. If I wasn't doing this, if I'd binge watch it, or if if it was just on TV, I'd trail off not watching it.
Yeah.
I probably just wouldn't. If I missed an episode and then missed another episode, and then I wouldn't probably go back to it. But it is binge watching, and if you were to, I think as Dan said, if you watch it in one go, it's probably really good, and it is good. It is good. It's good. Just you will get more out of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I think because of that, because that's the irritation. I think you and I both finding with it is that the way that it's sort of slowly unveiling, peeling off layer by layer, is annoying because I want to know what's happened.
Yeah,
and having to wait a week, between episodes, that's really aggravating.
Yeah.
Whereas if you watched it all in one go, the wait between you finding out the next thing isn't that long, so it's not as frustrating then. I'm enjoying it.
I mean, their whole tagline. I was reading a bit about it the other day, and their tagline is like, "We're not bad people, we just did a bad thing."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, what is the bad thing? Yeah.
It's interesting. Like now, John's found out that Danny probably knows what happened.
Yeah, what's going to happen there now?
Yeah.
I think John also knows that. I think he also knows that Danny knows that it was the kids that said they didn't want him back, not the father.
He does now, yeah.
He does.
Because Dad said, no, I left them to make the decision, so he does know that.
Yeah, so, which is strange, actually, because John and Danny have the best relationship.
Well, no, I think that. So could be all related. The fact that, so obviously, I think John, from the flashbacks in the past, John pulled the dad off of him. Him, because we saw that when the younger brother was on the beach and was punching him.
Yeah.
And John was like, "Oh my god!" And he's having these flashbacks, and then he pulled him off. So I think that's what happened to when he was younger. So so Danny's kind of like, I think John's been his protective, knows his younger brother. But then also, is John doing that because he feels bad because he lied to the police?
Oh, of course, yeah.
He knows that.
Yeah, okay.
So is he now trying to make up for the one bad thing he's done by doing everything he can to help Danny now?
Yeah.
As in to make amends. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of what I thought.
I wonder. Yeah, well, we'll see, won't we?
Well, yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right, so that's it for this week.
Yeah.
You can follow us on @HelloNotDeadYet, email us on
hellonotdeadyet@gmail.com,
and Facebook us on
Hello Not Dead Yet.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.